Well, greetings from UNC Asheville. I'm Janet Cohn, your Director of Athletics. Thank you so much for joining us. We learned something through COVID, that our parent guardian Zooms have been very popular, and we wanted to have one before. Hard to believe we're less than 2 weeks away from classes starting. We're so excited to get everyone back on campus to get our sports kicked off. So we thought it'd be really helpful tonight to go over a few things that might be helpful for you, since you are part of the Bulldog team. And what we'd like for you to do, I'm going to call on different people to present different parts of what we call our student athlete experience, those kinds of things that we provide to our student athletes that do not have anything to do with X's and O's or how to run faster or swim faster or dive better. So we're going to kick this off. And if you have questions, please type those into the chat. I think Donna has that feature. And we'll try to answer some questions after each presentation. So hopefully you're in for a good hour of very important information. And once again, we're so excited to kick off a 2022 academic year and athletic year. We're going to start this with Erin Spence, who's our Assistant Athletic Director from Compliance, and also our Senior Woman Administrator, who is on vacation, by the way, but she has agreed to participate. So Erin, we're going to let you go first. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm going to do my best. If it gets a little breaking up, I'm sorry. I'm in South Bend, Indiana. So one of my main roles is compliance and also the Student Athlete Advisory Committee. So each team has 2 voting members that are part of the Student Athlete Advisory Committee. And then we welcome students from any team that want to come be a part of the discussion. Some of their main things are to just advocate for the students. We work on what we're going to do for community service. We plan the end of the year awards for the student athletes and just general things that are of interest to the student athletes. So in the last couple of years, we've done Mental Health Week, and we've done some other activities with our DEI efforts, and just try to really focus on what is important to the student athletes. In terms of compliance, you may have heard in the news things about what's going on with the NCAA, and both myself and Athletic Director Cohn are working very hard to attend as many sessions and learning opportunities as we can to figure out what's going to happen. So 2 of the main things we're talking about are, 1, transformation, which you may have heard about, and modernization. So how the modernization is working is that's just kind of looking at rules and seeing if those make sense anymore, if we need to do things a little differently with the rules that we currently have. How the transformation committee is working is really discussing what do we need to do, like how are we going to transform the NCAA? So this is not business as usual. This is what do we really need to do to for the current student athletes. And I hope you have heard through what you might be hearing in the media that the student athletes are really, really the most important part of this modernization. The student athlete voice is going to be very important. They're giving them a lot more opportunities to be present in meetings, have votes in meetings. They are really listening to what the student athletes want as a part of their experience and what it means to be a Division I student athlete, and then really how we can make sure we are taking care of their needs and getting done what needs to get done. So if you have any questions about that, like I said, they're still kind of figuring out. It'll go through the normal legislative process once the Transformation Committee starts putting forward some proposals. And I'm happy to take emails, or you can call my office if you have a question specific to any of that. And one of the other programs that I wanted to talk to you about is our Real Response system. So that's a system that we invested in with COVID, and it allows the student athletes to send us a message in a confidential way. So they send a message and it goes to our senior team, and then we can send it out to the team that it's appropriate for. So that might be our mental health team, it might be our facilities folks. And I tell the student athletes, you can send something as simple as our showers are too hot, or as complicated as I feel like my teammate might be having a mental health crisis, or I feel like I might be having a mental health crisis, and anything in between. So our Title IX office on campus is able to be looped in, our mental health folks, our student health folks. And so we really think that software is helpful, because sometimes the student athletes don't feel comfortable coming forward and telling us about an issue, but they do want us to know about it. And so we can communicate with them while they remain confidential. Of course, if it's a mental health issue, we're going to ask them to please trust us and let us know who it is that we're speaking to, so that we can get them the help that they need. But if they choose not to do that, we can continue to speak to them and get them the resources that they might need to take advantage of whatever that they need help with. So we're really excited about that. Really thought there was some good usage of that the last school year, and have been telling all the incoming freshmen and all the student athletes as they move back about that. So hopefully we'll continue to have good use of that, and it'll continue to be beneficial to the students.
Well, Erin, thanks so much. I want to remember, if you have a question, type it in the chat, or if you think of something as others are talking, just get it in the chat and we'll either answer it tonight or get you an answer. I'm glad Erin mentioned the thing about the NCAA transformation, and you're going to hear this over and over from us this year. One of our top priorities is going to be the student athlete experience along with their voice, to make sure that we're getting appropriate feedback from them about all areas of what we do, whether it's academic services, whether it's sports medicine, travel, how things are going on campus with academics and their professors. And obviously we have our faculty athletic representative, Dr. Jeff Wilcox, helps in those areas. Erin is spending a lot of time this summer also, that you understand what she's over is. She is putting together the squad list to make sure that we have who's on the team and that they are eligible to compete and practice as we kick off the fall, along with making sure all the financial aid paperwork is in the financial aid office. So she's a very, very busy person, and she's getting a well-earned little mini vacation here with her family. So thank you for getting on. So any questions along that lines, please be sure to type them in or give us a call. I want to turn next to someone that I know most of you, or either your student athlete probably has mentioned the name of Rebecca Nelms, who we affectionately say is the MVP of the department, because almost every student athlete has had some experience with Rebecca, along with advising and really charting their course towards getting a degree. So Rebecca, why don't you go next?
My pleasure. So yes, my name is Rebecca Nelms. One of the things that I say to the freshmen is, if you remember nothing else from all the orientation sessions, know that I am one of your people. So when you have a question, instead of worrying about it for 3 or 4 days, pick up the phone and call me. I have regular office hours. I have a cell phone number that they'll have access to. So rather than panicking about how I'm supposed to handle something, pick up the phone and let's work out a solution. That being said, a 3 a.m. decision to change your major is probably not worth a phone call to me at the time. But if you're having problems with a course, you feel like the professor is counting against you, your missed classes that are a result of your competition and travel, we have our faculty athletics representative, which AD Cohn mentioned, Dr. Jeff Wilcox in environmental science, and he's a resource to speak directly to the professors. I encourage students to start the conversation with their professors. The people who are here teaching your students are here to teach undergraduates, so they're excited to interact with them, and they're happy to work with them. And so that's a good first resource. In addition to that, for academic areas, we do have support services from a learning specialist, which is Karen Howard Goss. And so that's going to be things like time management and strategic planning and organizational skills and that sort of thing. We also have individual tutors that are specific to the athletics department. Frequently, those are retired professors who still like to stay active in their topic, but aren't teaching classes anymore. We have access to university tutors, as well as an online platform this year called Tutor Me. So if you are studying quantum physics at 2 o'clock in the morning and you have a question, you can actually connect face-to-face with a tutor, and they will help solve your questions, because I can promise you I'm no resource for quantum physics. One of the things that I want to make sure that the students know about are what their resources are on campus. So we cover that, similar to what I've just done with you, as well as just some general information. Student athletes must be enrolled in 12 hours to be considered full-time. That's an NCAA requirement. The exception is if they're in their final semester and they have everything they need for graduation. But generally speaking, they've got to be enrolled in 12 hours. And so this first week of classes, as we face it, if you don't go to class, the professor has the ability to administratively drop you from the class. So it's going to be very important to make sure that you attend all the classes this first week and use that time to determine whether or not you think you can be successful in those classes or we need to make modifications. In that first week, you can drop or add classes at will. And after that first week, it counts as a withdrawal. So midnight Sunday night, that change of class now becomes a withdrawal credit. And you only are allowed 16 hours of withdrawals. So since most of our classes are 4-hour classes, you can see that you need to make those decisions, in that first week most effectively. And then the next piece is going to be the university expectation is that you maintain a 2.0 or you get on academic warning. The NCAA has a lower threshold for NCAA eligibility, but the students must meet the university eligibility in order to stay enrolled. And that marker is a 2.0. So one of the things the university has as a resource is the ability to do grade replacements. And so a grade replacement, once again, you get another 16 hours of grade replacements. So if you received a C- or less in a course, you can retake that course and have the new grade replace the original grade. So that's something that we can use to kind of help improve GPA in a fairly short period of time. So this is sort of the 10,000 mile view or whatever the terminology is there of academics. But the biggest overarching piece is that we're looking at your student athlete as a whole person, and you're going to have different people who are talking about different components. So you have a face with that area, but we all work together in order to support your student. And any of us are happy to step in if we become the person who your student's most comfortable working with.
Hey, Rebecca, there is a question here, and I think you might be a good person to answer this. Can you touch on briefly about move-in day, coming back with housing and when student athletes, and I think you probably have the schedulers or maybe even Colin about which teams report when and some of those kind of things.
So I don't have the which teams report when, and that may actually be Erin that has that, which might prove a challenge as she is in a car and looking up those dates. But I think that the coaches have all told their students when their move-in dates are, because it is varied based on when your first date of competition is. So the women's soccer team is not reporting at the same time as the baseball team. So that is dependent on the NCAA, when the NCAA says that you can move in. So you should have received that information either from the university or from your coach. One of the things I do really encourage student athletes to do, that first 6 weeks of school for the new freshmen, I meet with them for the first 6 weeks, 1 day a week for lunch, that lunch period. And what we talk about are just things to be successful on campus. And one of the big ones is going to be to check your UNCA email. If you're on a waiting list, that's how you get notified that you're on a waiting list. If you've got notification that move-in day is the 13th at 10 o'clock, but you need to pick up your key at such and such a place, all of that's going to come to the student at their @unca.edu email address. So I don't have specific move-in dates and times. I know for those moving in for the first time, we'll have help moving in during that that Friday move-in day or whatever the typical move-in day is. So that's a nice service from the university and some of our staff.
I'm sorry, if you're a dog barking, it's because I'm home this afternoon, just got home. But Rebecca or Tim, can you talk, or Aaron, like, I know the volleyball and soccer coming in early, they have the dates, but normal students, when they're moving days is and when classes start, just for the parents here.
I'm sorry, were you asking me about the start of the school?
Yes, Aaron, sorry, y'all. I'm sorry about the barking. Can you go over just a regular move-in for all the other student athletes and students?
Yeah, I believe they move in the Wednesday before classes start, and they have organized embark orientation programs for them. I am not too familiar with if they have move-in slots this year, how that's working for the regular students. I'm sorry.
All right. So we'll get that information out to the parents because we just aren't prepared to answer that right now. So Rebecca, do you have any other things for your area?
Not for the academics. I think there was a question about the transfers. Do the transfers participate in the freshman fundamentals? And no, if you're a transfer student, you are not expected to attend those sessions. Are there any other questions on the academic side of the world? I know there's a question about, somebody moving in earlier, and I don't have move-in answers.
I think the easiest answer is to go through your head coach, your student athlete, go through the head coach. We have a great relationship with housing. We'll get answers figured out because I know that we have women's soccer as the first team that's coming in. They will be the first ones kicking off. And I actually think that's later this week. So we'll get more information on that. Let's go to our next presenter, Dr. Laura Jones. We've all heard way many conversations about the mental health issues in college, and particularly student athletes. We're so fortunate that we have invested some new resources in literally the last couple of years in our whole mental health program. So Dr. Jones, why don't you, I think you're going to share something on our.
Yeah, I think Donna's pulling that up for us right now. This is the teacher in me. I always come prepared with a PowerPoint if needs be. So the first thing I just wanted to mention is Be Bulldog Brave is the hashtag that was developed by one of our former student athletes for this initiative. It's an initiative that's been growing and rapidly over the last 6 years. The impetus behind the Be Bulldog Brave hashtag is really trying to instill in our athletes that part of being brave and part of being tough is also being vulnerable, right? You can be as tough as you want to on the court, on the field, in the pool, whatever you need to do. But when it comes to your mental health and you're outside of that space, there's a great deal of strength, courage, power in reaching out for support when you're struggling. And that's really the message that, like I mentioned, we're kind of floating through everything that we do with this initiative, just trying to break down that stigma a little bit. These are our faces. Sometimes it's just helpful to know who's going to be talking to your student and who's doing this work. So I'm the mental health coordinator. JD Jackson is our mental health advisor. We knew each other previously in terms of our clinical and professional work before JD started working in this role. So we talk often about the work that we're doing with this. We work very collaboratively around this work, especially in kind of building a team-based environment to support your athletes. And Donna, we can go ahead and go to the next slide. So when I say we, that's what I'm talking about is JD and I, and then any of our student athletes that want to get involved, which I'll talk about in a minute. But we do work with all 16 teams here on campus. A lot of what we do is focused on the athletes because they're our top priority, making sure that they are safe, making sure that they have the support they need that may impact their academics, that may impact their play, that may impact every other aspect of their lives, right? So we provide knowledge to them so that they can know when they are struggling. That may seem silly, but we start with basics. How do you know when you're struggling? How do you know when you need to reach out for support? So we're providing that through team meetings. We're providing that one-on-one. We're providing that in some of the freshman meetings that'll happen, the freshman fundamental meetings that'll happen. So we're doing that in multiple different ways. But one of the other things that we also do are train coaches because we can train athletes day in and day out and provide that knowledge, but we really want to create an environment of support that surrounds your athletes so they can feel as safe and as comfortable in reaching out as possible. A lot of what we do outside of providing knowledge is meeting with athletes one-on-one to help them get connected to mental health services on or off campus. And part of that's trying to just tease apart what the need is. Is it meeting with a sports psychologist because their struggles are purely directed toward their sport and toward their play and something getting in the way of them being able to perform at their absolute best? Or is this something that extends beyond play and is really impacting their life in other areas? And if it is the latter, we can help them get connected to services both on or off campus. We have mental health, our health and counseling center here that provides mental health services. And then there are a lot of people in the Asheville community that provide services, and we talk with them to try and figure out who may be a good fit for them. And we don't just give them names and send them off into the world. We continue to meet with them and make sure that they have support until they actually have established a provider that they want to meet with, kind of ongoing. So again, kind of along with that, we just continually provide or hope to provide a safe and confidential space to reach out. And the reason that I say that is we are not mandated to go back to the coaches necessarily and tell the coaches what's going on with their athletes. It's important to us that the athletes here feel safe in talking about their struggles. As fantastic as our coaches are, and they really are, they get it and they are so supportive. Sometimes your athletes have been trained for a very young age to be tough. And it still feels uncomfortable for their coach to know that they're struggling. So we just want to provide that space for them where they can reach out. We regularly talk to coaches, administration, sports medicine, to make sure your athletes are getting the best well-rounded care that they can, and recognizing that mental health impacts each of their areas of life here, as a human being and as a student with us and an athlete with us. So we're very big on integrated care and working with sports medicine, working with strength and conditioning as needed, and eventually working with nutrition, which we'll talk about, again, just to make sure your kind of whole athlete is taken care of. The part that I'm really excited to tell you about the coming year is that we are starting a Pure Mental Health Ambassadors program. So we have 14 of our athletes who have volunteered their time. They're not getting compensated with this. They have volunteered their time to act as ambassadors who are being trained in mental health first aid, to go back and help support their teammates, help support their peer athletes here on campus. That's with the knowledge, just helping kind of deliver that knowledge, being a safe space for other athletes to reach out to, all the way around. So it's really exciting to have that many athletes really care about this area and want to grow and support it. And then the last thing we do is this program from the very beginning has been athlete driven in terms of listening to what athletes need and building programs that really meet their needs. And so once a year, we do an annual survey of athlete well-being, asking them about services that we offer, things that they would want to see, things that are getting in the way of them asking for support, so that we're really trying to address the needs of all of our athletes here and services. And yeah, absolutely. So when we do trainings with coaches, we do those as much as we can. A lot of that training is around being able to notice warning signs when athletes actually present with warning signs, how to have those conversations with athletes, recognizing the culture of their teams, and building a culture that's really supportive of reaching out. And our coaches always have really great questions. We are not telling them how to coach by any means. We are just giving them skills to integrate into their own unique coaching style, so that they can be successful in winning, and that they can be successful in building that team, and they can be successful in their athletes feeling as supported as possible. And one of the other things I want to mention really quickly is the way that you can find out more about our services or get connected to us or find our contact information. We are on the UNC Athletics website. All you have to do is type into Google or your search engine, UNC Asheville Athletics Mental Health. The first thing that should pop up is our website. It has all of our list of services that we provide, resources for coaches and athletes. And again, it has our contact information on any page or every page there. So, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you all may have about that or how we can continue to support your athletes.
Well, thank you, Dr. Jones. And we really want to encourage our parents and guardians, encourage your student athlete, you know, if they have questions or they, you know, don't know who to go to. That's why we're having this Zoom, so that you see some faces and names and say, hey, have you thought about reaching out to Dr. Jones? If you're not comfortable going to the athletic director or the coach. And hopefully, because we're doing this as a team effort, there will be someone that your student athlete feels comfortable enough to come to. So that's part of the goal. Let's move on a little bit to strength and conditioning and nutrition. Brian, you want to introduce yourself and tell what you do and how you're helping our student athletes?
Yeah, would love to. I'm Brian Robette. I'm the head strength conditioning coach here at Asheville. I train with a lot of the teams or have some, you know, work with a ton of them. I see basically every student athlete here. So I interact with them almost on a daily basis. I would say second or third most amongst athletics besides their coaches. So I see them a lot. I interact with them a ton, which is awesome. But in the weight room, obviously our goals is to train better for our sport. We're trying to keep them healthy. We keep them on the field, court, pool, wherever their playing surface is. Basically, that's our goal, is to keep them on there so they can continue to get better and progress as an athlete. You know, our expectation in the weight room is to get better for the sport. Once again, you know, we're aiming for sports performance. It's not just strength and conditioning. It's really sports performance. And there's a lot of things that tie into that. And the weight room's just kind of one of them. And here I would say we train hard. We make adjustments as needed. Each team trains specifically for their sport. It's not a one size fits all strength and conditioning plan. Each team trains and has a plan according to their sport during their time of year. And it's really exciting. And I think we have a pretty good culture in the weight room. Athletes enjoy coming in here for, you know, the hour of their day that they're required to be in here. And they do a really good job in here. The best thing about our weight room recently, and kind of like I talked about sports performance, another piece of that is nutrition. And brand new this year, and it's already up and running, and it's already amazing. Is we have a nutrition fueling center that's sponsored by Ingalls. So Ingalls donates us product each week, and I just have to go to the store, pick it up, and get what we need. And the idea is to provide athletes with some calories, some healthy snacks, you know, to help supplement them throughout their day. It's not a full meal replacement. It's not their lunch. It's not their dinner, but it's something of, oh man, I lift at 9 o'clock and I have a 10:30 class or an 11 o'clock class. I don't have time to go to the dining hall because I'm going to shower and change clothes. I can grab about 1,000 calories from our fueling station and then head to class. So you're not worried about, man, I'm not going to eat for 3 hours until it's dinner time. I have some sustenance and some protein, you know, some good carbs and good fats, you know, readily available to me, you know, after I train. So that's the best part about it. Our school also has given us funding for it, to where I don't want to say buy whatever the heck I want, but, you know, I can buy protein powder or some type of, I don't want to say supplement, but other stuff that maybe, hey, Ingalls doesn't quite offer the best thing of this. And I can offer muscle milk, which is a great dairy-free protein source for us, and keep it in our fridge and keep it cold. So it's ready to go for athletes once they're done training. Another great piece is we have a nutritionist that's going to be available to our student athletes 2 times a week. His name is Chris Doyle. He currently works with the Asheville Taurus, which is the minor league affiliate for the Houston Astros in town. He loves Asheville, so he wants to stay in Asheville, and he's going to be around for us. And, you know, our athletes can make appointments with him to help whatever goals they might need for, whether it's performance, whether it's weight maintained, or finding good food options across campus or around town. He's there to be a really good professional resource for us and our athletes, to kind of keep getting that edge on top of our competition.
All right. And I can attest firsthand, because my office is a sort of above the sports strength and conditioning room, and they've been down there all summer. We've had student athletes who have been on campus taking classes, working out, or working a job, or doing an internship. And we certainly have had a steady stream down with Brian all summer long. So we're really excited they're taking advantage of that. We hope no one ever gets injured, but we feel like we have one of the best programs in the country with our partnership with Mission Sports Medicine, HCA. Tim White has been directing that program now for quite a while. He's a familiar face, and someone who also was very valuable as we were coming through COVID. So Tim, why don't you talk about what our parents need to know about back to school with sports medicine?
Sure. Thank you, Janet. As she said, my name is Tim White, and I'm the head athletic trainer, and I oversee the sports medicine department at UNC Asheville. And we're employed through Mission HCA, so we have a great partnership with UNCA and Mission Health, which is the largest hospital in our region. So back to school, one of the big changes this year for back to school, and you may have heard your student athletes talking about it, is sickle cell trait. In the past, the NCAA has allowed a waiver to be signed to waive out of sickle cell testing. This year, they're doing away with that waiver. So we have been asking student athletes to collect information in regards to their sickle cell status, doing sickle cell screen testing. There's two ways that we can accomplish that. One is through a prior test result. So most newborns when they're born are tested at birth. So the state that you were born in, the health department may have that blood work from when they were born. Your pediatrician may have that blood work from when they were born. That will be one example of a way to meet the requirement for knowing your sickle cell status. If a student athlete can't find that information or can't get that information, they can also be tested again, which is just a blood draw. That can be done through your pediatrician, through local labs in your area, such as Quest Lab, I think LabCorp. There's another one called Any Lab Test now. They will all be able to conduct those lab tests as well to get the most, to get a new result if we can't find the old result. But your sickle cell status doesn't change over time. So the test that's done at birth is more than sufficient if you're able to find those records. So that's one of the newest requirements coming in for back to school. If you've heard your student athlete talk about it, that's what it is. And that's the documentation we need through sports medicine in order to meet that requirement through the NCAA. Knowing that status will be able to allow us to provide better care in case there is an incident with someone that has sickle cell trait. And it also allows us to modify a few things if needed during conditioning components of workouts and practice. Is there a question regarding that? I saw something pop up there. Let's see.
Yeah, Tim, I got it. It says the NCAA website says sickle cell is not retroactive. It is only needed for new and transfer students. Returning athletes who previously signed a sickle cell waiver do not need results. Is that not accurate?
That's not what I read, but I can check into that and double check. The newest information I got from the NCAA said that all student athletes needed to know it regardless of their status. So, but I'll look into that and double check that just to make sure. The second topic that I just wanted to touch base on super briefly is insurance. Most students don't really know about their insurance and what it covers and doesn't cover. But I also wanted to make you aware that the athletic department carries an excess policy or a secondary insurance policy that covers above and beyond what your primary insurance covers. with that being said, the secondary policy has a deductible that has to be met through your primary insurance. So it doesn't cover everything, but I wanted to let you know about it and let you know on our UNCA Bulldogs website and sports medicine, there's information about that policy. So if you ever have a question about that policy and you want to look it up, there's information there that tells about what's covered and what's not covered and kind of the steps and processes we use for that. And the last thing, I didn't want to bring it up, but I'm going to say the COVID word. The NCAA hasn't made any new requirements or regulations regarding COVID. We're still following the CDC guidelines for any new COVID cases that pop up throughout the fall semester, but no word of any like additional surveillance testing or anything like that we've had to do in the past.
Yeah, Tim, you had to mention the C word, and it wasn't Janet Cone, it was COVID. So, but one of the things I do want to tell parents, because we've gotten a few questions through email and over the phone, basically our university is coming back in person, always encouraging anyone who has not gotten a vaccination or booster to get one. If someone wants to wear a mask, they should feel free that they should, and, keep some of those kinds of things that you feel comfortable about doing. But there is presently no mask mandates or anything on campus of that nature right now. Like everywhere, we've seen a little bit of an uptick of COVID, of this new variant. And most people are getting tested. Tim will continue to test people, our student athletes, with any kind of symptoms, so we know whether they have the flu or whether they have COVID. But it's certainly a little bit different right now than it has been the previous two falls. And for that, we're thankful and excited for our student athletes, because we can do actual move-in days and some of the fun things that the previous two classes did not get to do. So we'll keep monitoring that and keep you posted. I also want to say we've done a little sprucing up down in sports medicine too. And Tim, you want to talk about one of the newest things that we're going to have coming? It should be delivered here in the next week or two.
Sure. We've done a little bit of sprucing up, as Janet said, and cleaning up in the areas and making things look a lot better. One of the new pieces of equipment that we will have in the athletic training room is a cold plunge pool. So that is like a cold whirlpool, which most of our student athletes enjoy. They might not at the time, but this one stays cold all the time. It'll be always up. Think of like a hot tub, but it stays cold the whole time. So we're super excited about having that additional equipment in our athletic training room to help with student athlete recovery and getting ready for their next practices and competition.
And the last good news we have with our partnership with Mission Sports Medicine, we will have an additional trainer here this year. So we'll have 5 full-time trainers, which for about 252 student athletes who, thank goodness, are not all injured at the same time. That is a large number of trainers to take care of student athletes. So we're very thankful of that. We're also adding another doctor to our core. Dr. Jay Jansen is our orthopedic doctor. Our general, Tim, you want to tell our other 2 doctors and our newest one that's going to be joining us?
Sure. So we have Dr. Jay Jansen, who's our primary surgeon, orthopedic surgeon. With him through Emerge Ortho is Dr. Shea, who is more primary care sports medicine, so more non-surgical orthopedic injuries. And we're adding in Dr. Atkinson, who works through MAHEC. He's going to be overseeing the sports medicine fellowship program through MAHEC. But he will also be one of our team physicians as well for sports medicine primary care. So we're excited to have him on board and on campus.
Yeah, and we also have, through our care partner relationship and through Mission, a physical therapist that's on campus for our student athletes when needed too. So we feel like we have certainly some of the best sports medicine coverage of any school, not only in the Big South, but literally a mid-major department. So Tim, thank you for all you do. One of our newer members to our department's been here now, gosh, about 6 months, is Colin Smith, is our Associate Athletic Director for Internal Operations. And for DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion. You're going to see him a lot. He is really overseeing all of our game day operations for home events too. So Colin, why don't you talk a little bit about some of the things you've got planned for this year?
Thank you, Janet. So first and foremost, I would like to go ahead and cover DEI. Like she said, I'm over internal operations and game day operations, but I'm also over diversity, equity, and inclusion. And some of the philosophies that the Bulldog Athletic would like to implement is to kind of review and implement the athletic department commitment to DEI, which means we're going to meaningfully educate our leadership and teams and coaches, continue to strengthen our BARC, which is our Bulldog Anti-Race Council. And our hope is that the members of our campus, our athletic department, our student athletes, everybody will embrace these values and promote them in their careers and personal lives. The next thing we would like to do is develop and review data related to monitoring departments, and that could be with our Rise to Win sessions. And that's pretty much that we instruct and discuss educational case studies and real world challenges in those sessions. Has been really good and been a good attendance for all our student athletes. Develop and maintain and plan our promote and publicize our DEI efforts into the department. And that means pretty much teach our students and staff and coaches to be critical thinkers and establish their views, but be sympathetic to others' experiences. And with that being said, we would like to promote a framework of thinking where the purpose is to achieve our main objective. Lastly, evaluate our policies, procedures to ensure unbiased treatment for all. Empower our employee resource groups, which is ERG. ERG groups is each, we have liaisons throughout the campus. So for our athletic department, it'll be me. For health to health, it'll be Dr. Laura Jones. We'll have one academics, student success, and so forth and so on. So we'll have that. Review our campus policy, demographics, training, and training, which means selection of all hiring employees, student workers, anything regarding training purposes for our athletic department. Some of the campus events that we've achieved already, I've mentioned our Rise to Win programs with our student athletes and staff. I assisted Dr. Laura Jones with helping Emmett Gill, which was Executive Director for Athletes and Advocates for Social Justice in Sports. He spoke to our coaches and staff, and it was a great event. Thank you to Laura Jones for bringing him to our campus, because it was definitely a pivotal moment for our department. We hosted our first ever diversity, equity, and inclusion for conference basketball doubleheader. It's something that the Big South and NCAA is doing across the board. It started out this year, but we want to make it bigger and better every year. And we're definitely going to try to transcend it to other sports. We had a Students of Color Athletic Social, which was a great, amazing event that we're going to continue to build up on that. And then our future planning is partner with not only our athletic department, but partner across our campus with bringing a guest speaker to campus and kind of make it an athletic department retreat that will make it mandatory for all our student athletes, and kind of like a place where we can just all be together, get away from academics, get away from athletics, personal life, and get there and have a good message delivered to our athletic department. Another one thing, like I said, our community event is Sunday at Fun Day, which is a community event, and bring everybody, our corporate stakeholders, alumni, everybody from the Asheville area to come to our campus and talk with our student athletes and pretty much make it like a fun day for everybody. Lastly, I would love to do would be, and what we're currently implementing, is our More Than an Athlete initiative. The goal to that initiative is to spotlight what intrigues them about UNC Asheville Athletic Department. The diversity, how they use it in their everyday life, academics, athletics, or school organizations. The special thing about this is that it's promotion to attract and recruit and retain our student athletes. This will impact not only our potential recruits, our current student athletes, our families, alumni, our corporate stakeholders, and donors and community partners. Lastly, which is the most important, is our primaries of focus. One, I would like to establish a sense of belonging for everyone. Build a thriving community, maximize joy and connection by minimizing fear. And that means having those conversations that may be uncomfortable for people, but I think for us to move forward as athletic department, we have to have those conversations. Be inclusive in recruiting and retention, which means our student athletes, but also our staff and our coaches. Promote empathetic leadership and practice what you preach. As an athletic department, we cannot control what happens outside our campus, but we can dictate the culture in our athletic department. And everybody on this call that we're talking about right now is a major part of that movement, and we would like to continue that going forward.
As you can see, Colin's going to be a busy man since he's going to head up continue a lot of great work that we've done with diversity, equity, inclusion, and make sure that we have a great game day atmosphere for all home games. Tim, there was a question from a parent on here. Can you give some guidance about when a student athlete should seek a doctor or a trainer?
Yep. Just type the response back. So our athletic trainers, we work through Mission Hospital HCA. We're licensed healthcare professionals, and we're typically the first to see the injury when it happens and do the initial evaluation. And based on that, we will either treat that injury or refer to the appropriate physician. We'll triage that injury and refer to the appropriate physician for that injury. Within our physician network, we have physicians that have different specialties, so we try to refer to the ones that that more align with that particular injury. Some injuries, if they're minor injuries, we will continue to treat those and rehab those throughout the process all the way through the return to play for that individual.
Thanks, Tim. All right, let's go to one of our other associate athletic directors, Mr. David Jandrew, and get ready. He usually has something funny to say to all of us. David, talk a little bit about communications, game day, attendance, marketing. What do we got planned for this year?
Thank you, Janet, and thank the parents for joining us tonight. As Janet said, I'm going to talk a little bit about all things external facing, which for a lot of you is the stuff that you use to keep up with us. And so the first thing I'll start with, the easiest way to know what's going on with not only your Bulldogs team, but our department as a whole, is to follow uncabulldogs.com. That's our main athletic website. That's where you can find our schedules, rosters, stories, preview stories, game day, summary stories, etc. You can find that at uncabulldogs.com. I also encourage you to follow your individual Bulldog teams' social media pages. A lot of times that's the place where we get the most up-to-date schedule changes. If we got lightning in the area and there's a delay in a game, that's the place that we can update those things the most frequently and the quickest. So we certainly encourage you to follow. If your daughter is on the women's soccer team, they have their own Facebook, Twitter, whatever it might be. Follow those pages, please. And as I mentioned, uncabulldogs.com is the place to find all things Bulldog athletic related. The second thing I want to highlight is for those of you who have a Bulldog playing fall sports, volleyball, men's or women's soccer, those sports are free admission. Come on out. Bring your spouse, bring mom, bring dad, big Mr. Huckabee from down the street, Uncle Charlie, bring them all. It's free. We'd love to have you come out and watch our teams play. And the same applies to baseball in the spring. The only sport that we charge admission for is men's and women's basketball. So please come out and support these teams. It's free of charge. We'd love to see you not only for the upcoming fall season, but for all our sports throughout the year. The third thing I want to highlight, in case you can't make it in person, Espn Plus is the way in which you can follow most of our Bulldog programs. Espn Plus can usually be secured through your cable or satellite provider as well as online. Go to plus.espn.com for more information. It's less than $10 a month. If you sign up for a yearly subscription, it's $99.99. Not only can you get our home games, but the majority of our away contests, especially conference games, those are mandated to be on Espn Plus, but even our non-conference games, a lot of those are on Espn Plus as well. We have outlined our schedule for the coming fall semester. I think with only one or two exceptions, every home date regular season game will be covered on ESPN Plus. So that again, men's and women's soccer, volleyball. We even do 1 to 2 swim meets a year, men's and women's basketball, and then baseball in the springtime. So ESPN Plus is a great way to follow all of our programs, but specifically the ones that you all are interested in for your individual Bulldogs. The fourth thing I wanted to highlight, I mentioned UNCABulldogs.com is a great place to keep up. It's also a place to find out how you can support our Bulldogs. North Carolina is a state in which we cannot use state funding for athletics. So we are very reliant on the help and support of our friends and our parents who give back to our individual programs and our student athlete scholarship fund. For more information, go to UNCABulldogs.com, click on the donate tab. There's information there. My contact information is also there. So if you ever want to know, hey, I want to know how to support the baseball team, I want to know how to support the golf team, give me a call, shoot me an email. I'm happy to walk you through how to do that. We are very, very grateful for the support that we get from our parents and families of our Bulldog student athletes. And then the last thing, I see there's a question, I'll answer that at the end. The last thing I want to highlight, we are in the process of hiring a new assistant athletic director for communications. So we hope to have that person in place next month, but we are asking for a little bit of patience as we go through that process. I promise that our folks in athletic communications are working very hard to update rosters online. We do have all of our fall schedules out, but again, please be patient as we get our team up to full speed and full staff for this coming year. I promise we'll have that information updated. Tara, I see your question about cross-country meets. Unfortunately, they are not on ESPN Plus. We have not figured out how to strap a camera to the back of a four-wheeler and follow those youngsters out into the woods. But we do cover all of our cross-country meets again on UNCABulldogs.com and social media to get those results and those scheduled dates. But I apologize, that is not on ESPN Plus. If anybody else has any questions, don't hesitate to throw those up in the Q&A. We'll be happy to answer them. And thank you all again for joining us tonight.
Well, David, you threw in one little funny thing for us there about strapping the camera. So we always love your sense of humor. Speaking of, yes, parents, friends, guardians, we do want you to come to Asheville. And when you do visit, I'm going to let Jarrett talk to you about a few of our corporate partners, because when you're looking for some place to stay, we have some really great sponsors that support us through corporate sponsorship. So Jarrett, why don't you go next and introduce yourself?
Yeah, thank you, Janet. And hello to everyone, and hope everyone's having a good evening. My name is Jared Weimer. I work with all of our corporate partners here at UNC Asheville and with the athletic department. Brian mentioned Ingalls already helping with our fueling station. I think Rebecca's going to talk about some of our partners who help with some of our other enhancement or enrichment programs, such as Leaders for Leaders or some financial literacy courses that some of our partners help us out with. But we have just about under 40 corporate partners here at UNC Asheville right now, and are always looking for more and reaching out to businesses to see if they have a mission and goal that aligns with ours, and see if there's a good partnership fit with the athletic department. One thing that Janet just touched on is we definitely want you all to come visit Asheville, and we have a great partnership with Bertel Hospitality. They are official and exclusive hotel partner of UNC Asheville Athletics, and Donna just put up the map. They have 5 local hotel properties, all real close to campus. And they just opened a new downtown location called The Element. So a great location in downtown Asheville as well. So they have a link, and we're going to send this flyer out to all of you as well after this call. But if you book through that link, that vertel.com/UNCA, you'll get 20% off of your stay at any of those 5 hotels you see on the map. Another great thing about this partnership with Vertel is that for every room booked through that link, or room booked if you call and say you're a UNC Asheville friend, family, and you're looking for that rate, they'll donate a percentage back to go to a student athlete scholarship from your stay. So it's a great partnership with Vertel and a great opportunity for you to save a little bit of money if you're coming into town for one of our events.
And that includes if you're coming for family weekend, homecoming, or any of those things. And by the way, if you are coming to Asheville, I definitely invite you to drop by the athletic director's suite. Donna Peak's my executive assistant. Love to meet more and more of you face to face. And if you're at a home athletic event, you see our faces, call us over, introduce yourself, so that we really would like to get to know more of you a little bit better, because we consider you part of the Bulldog team, and we think it's going to be a great year. I'm going to turn it back to Rebecca for a minute. The program that Rebecca's going to talk about is literally one of our signature programs that has distinguished us literally nationally for something that we do that is really special, that helps your student athlete literally go from backpacks to briefcases to out in the real world. So Rebecca, talk a little bit about the Leaders for Leaders program.
Yeah, I'm happy to. So, we have life skills programming that we provide to the student athletes. And so that can be something that starts with physical literacy. It can deal with drug and alcohol awareness. But the one piece that's an opt-in option for all the student athletes is a program called Leaders for Leaders. And it's a mentoring opportunity that's really around providing a relationship contact. So that can be on whatever terms the student athlete sort of feels that they're ready for. So a freshman may not know what they want to do for their career, so they're not looking for career advice, but they're away from home, or they're an international student and they're just looking for someone who's going to be able to come to their meets or their matches, or can have them over for an occasional meal, or to watch the Super Bowl or something, whatever the NCAA allows and the student and the mentor agree is comfortable to them. And so the mentors are typically retirees who have come to the Asheville area or from the Asheville area that have had jobs in a wide range of careers. So we have a very simple 10-question form that we send out to student athletes and say, do you want to participate in this program? And then what is it that you want to match? Is it that you have a particular career interest? So if you are interested in going into vet school, I can help the student look up what the prerequisites are for the different vet schools and make sure that they're in those classes. I've never gone to vet school. I will never go to vet school. I actually don't know that many people who have gone to vet school. So to be able to have an expert in that area, someone who has had that as their background, and talk about whether it's important to have an internship, or to talk about, are you looking at small animals or large animals, or, those sorts of things that are very career specific, provides an enormous advantage to your student athletes. We know that they're ours for 4 years, and then we want to claim them, for the rest of their lives, but it's not going to be typically within our department, right? We've got a few alumni who are working for us, but most of the student athletes are going to go into a work world that's not athletics. And so what are the skill sets that they need? What are the contacts that they need to make? And so sometimes it's a match that is just someone who's friendly. And so if I suddenly decide, after my junior year, that I know what it is I want to do with my career, it may be that my mentor doesn't have that skill set, but they know someone who does. And so it becomes just that person that all of us, if we think back in our life, there's somebody that we can point to and say, that person made a difference in my trajectory. And that's what these retirees are hungry to do for another generation. 100% optional to participate. The student athlete has to say that they're interested in it. The mentors understand that at the beginning, they have to do a little more of the outreach to get the student athletes comfortable with them. But Elk Mountain Wealth Partners has been a corporate sponsor for this program for a number of years. And it is, in my mind, just a phenomenal program, because at the end of each season, we ask the student athletes and the mentors, do you want to participate again? Do you have any questions? What is some of your feedback? And one of the sort of overarching answers that we get year after year is, I'm not sure what the student is getting out of this, but I just love getting to spend time with them and go to their swim meets or whatever. And then the student will respond, I'm not sure what my mentor is getting out of this, but this is making a huge difference in my understanding of what I need to do to be, successful. So it's literally, we've just heard from one of our alum in the program who is sitting for her board today. And her mentor helped her lay out her LSAT preparation. So she has been with her mentor since she was a sophomore in college. The mentor helped draft her study guide to prepare to go to law school, has been in contact with her through law school, and is now anxiously chewing nails, waiting to find out if the boards were passed. So it's just a wonderful opportunity. So if your student athlete is interested in participating in that, once again, it's on an email from me saying, do you want to participate in the Leaders for Leaders program? So that's the Leaders for Leaders program in a nutshell. I will say that the first year we had the program, which was I think 10 years ago now, we started with 10 students that were all graduating that year. Of those 10, more than half of them could tie their first job to an introduction that their mentor made for them. So it has a practical application as well. Any questions on that?
It has a practical application. We did have one question about someone missed the Jarrett's presentation. We will send out that flyer about the hotel. Donna Peak can see people's email addresses on here, so we will get that out to make sure all the parents. We're right now at an hour, and I want to end this on some really positive things. Thank you for all the presenters and parents and guardians who are on the Zoom. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to encourage you and challenge you to be Bulldog proud and passionate. I'm literally in my 19th year, and I'm as proud today and passionate about Bulldog athletics as I ever am. You see, I got my Bulldog blue on. I wear it all the time, everywhere. I'm always proud to say I'm the athletic director of the UNC Asheville Bulldogs. You know, I want you, the other thing that we talk about winning, and right now, what we're talking about is what's important now, the WIN, what's important now in 2022. And I'm going to outline 3 things that are very important to all of us, and I think they directly influence how we can become even more passionate and prouder of our Bulldog student athletes. Number 1 is, once again, we want to make sure we're providing a Division I student athlete experience that is of high quality, that we are taking care of our student athletes, and we are also listening to their voices, their feedback, and their input. That's number 1. Number 2, winning. And when we talk about winning, we want to win in competition. We want to win in the classroom, which we certainly are doing. If you've been following us, we continually, even throughout the summer, have been recognized for additional academic excellence. And we want to win in the community, whether it's with our partnership with the new Peak Academy Charter School, Special Olympics, any of those kinds of things we do. What's important now is winning. And number 3 is to literally create financial stability for our athletic department so that we can continue to do all the things that give student athletes, not only today, but for the future, the opportunity to be a Bulldog and achieve their dreams, not only in competition, but to get that degree from University of North Carolina, Asheville. A couple things that you will see when you come by the Justice Center. We've spent quite a bit of money and time this summer refreshing it. It has a clean new look in the Justice Center and the Academic Success Center down in sports medicine. Rory talked about the fueling station. It's an old building, but when you walk inside, it gives you a whole new sense of pride. And as a reminder, that's where 90% of our student athletes literally are in the Justice Center daily, either lifting weights and or going to sports medicine or getting academic advice or volleyball or swim practice or meeting with their coaches. The other thing you'll see early this fall, a new soccer scoreboard would go up. We're doing some work out there to really freshen up the soccer area to get ready for their competitions. We are spending $200,000 of new money this year on all things student athlete success, whether it's mental health, whether it's sports medicine, whether it's nutrition, academic advising, Leaders for Leaders, more about name, image, and likeness, because we think that is something that we have to get on the cutting edge. So that was rolled out last July. This year, we're actually going to, an academic course is going to be offered in the spring, and just more opportunities for our student athletes where they may take advantage of their name, image, and likeness if they so choose. finally, something that we have been working on, and this really affects not only about 60 or 70 our student athletes, but our community and our campus. We have gotten the go-ahead from our Board of Trustees that we will be constructing literally a new $4.5 million track where the Carl Strauss track is. And got an update on that tomorrow. It is much needed. And if things go like we plan, you know, by next summer, we certainly will be on a new track, if not sooner. But we can't have let it rain today, but when August hits, no rain, and we have to have warm weather in order to get a lot of the work done this fall, and maybe all of the work. So a lot of good things happening. Please come see us, and thank you again. If you like this kind of Zoom, give us some feedback, and we'll schedule these periodically to give you updates. So we really want some feedback if this is beneficial, and tell other parents when you see them if you think it is. So thanks a lot, and always go Bulldogs.